Boy, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an interesting one tonight on Sportswire Radio because a city guy like me, all the way out in the big city in New York City, is going to speak to a guy in the smallest of small towns. Well, maybe not quite, but he's got a company that, well, we've seen him here before, but we haven't got a chance to talk about his story and his story with small town backyard wrestling in the fabric of middle America, beautiful Illinois. And they just had a huge show that took place called Sunday Night Stands. And we'll definitely talk about that. Now, you might have remembered him about a week and a half ago here on Sportswire Radio when he was talking about a huge tag team title match where he was tag teaming with a guy that a lot of people know in the BYW world and Thomas McEntee. But I'll save that for a different time because obviously that's still, well, you have to be to be continued more or less. But we're going to talk about his journey in the world of the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit. We're also going to talk about that company in Iowa, in Palo, Iowa, the IMF, where you might know Tyler Fury from because, well, he was a guy that wrestled this guy, Felix Jones, that everybody's talking about. Now, I'm definitely not going to ask him about Felix Jones and Soldier being a bad father. I'm not going to go into the whole thing or Justin Parsley because I really don't want to go there. I feel like it was Dr. Phil, Jerry Springer here on Sportswire Radio, and we really don't want to ask him those things, but I will talk about those matches he had with Felix Jones, which certainly the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit have viewed, and thousands upon thousands of them have viewed. And we'll talk about his own story with the likes of different people in small town backyard wrestling, and such as Dalton and Nolan McDermott and Peyton the Pacemaker. Hopefully, I don't need a pacemaker after giving him the intro here, Tyler Fury, but it's good to start things here in prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters, Sportswire Radio. And after all, he's been here, Tyler Fury, before, but he didn't get that introduction that so many of his peers, so many of his colleagues have gotten. And now it's time to give him that introduction and to start the night off in style here on Sportswire Radio, because after all, we are the only platform all wrestling matters. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right to it here in prime time and introduce our guest and give him, well, that big city-like introduction. So with that, further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show. They may call him small town, but simply put, his name is my friend, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Ask me in a few hours from now when we finish this segment and then James Taylor comes on here because everybody in the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit's been talking about his return to the ring, which all of a sudden suddenly happened. And I'm sure in 4 hours from now I won't have much of a voice, and I'll do this again when Tarzan Duran is here and our friends over in the great state of Oregon and BTW Wrestling. But until then, my friend, it is an absolute honor to meet you once again. The first question I got to ask you before I get into anything else, we're going to talk a lot about Sunday Night Stands. We're going to talk about a lot of things going on in the backyard in the wrestling circuit. Has anyone ever asked you, are you related to Tyson Fury by any chance?
I am not. I wish I was.
Well, you could have said yes, and I would have been like, wow, maybe I should redo the intro for you. But obviously, I had to get some of those semantics in. But obviously want to say hello to you, and we got that out of the way. But there's a lot to talk about. Obviously, I can go a number of different ways, but let's start off to kind of go nice and easy. Sunday Night Stands just took place, and talk about what happened. I'm going to put it up on the screen for those that are listening and watching here in Sportswire Radio, the second episode of Sunday Night Stands for Small Town Backyard Wrestling. Tyler Fury, you were in action, and tell us a little bit about it.
So you want me to tell you about the last one, correct?
Yes, the last one. Yes, we just saw. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'm going to play it. We're going to get your play-by-play analysis with me, so I'm going to put it up on the screen. Yes.
Right.
So I'm going to put that up here, so give me 1 second. And while I do that, I want to say hello to a few people. Zilla, I think you've seen Zilla from the last show you were on. Zilla just says hello to everybody. Want to say hello to, speaking of our friends in BTW, Comatose, the triple promotion champion. He's a man that has 3 belts in one company. He's the television champion. He's the interpromotional champion. He's the continental champion. He's just a man that just does it all. And he gave me a shirt that on the back of it says I'm the voice of BYW, which I don't think I am, but I appreciate Comatose. And next week he's back and goes into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. But I'm going to put it right back up on the screen. So for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, let me get right to it. So we're going to put this up. Thank you to the magic of technology. And we have it here. Here we go. Sunday Night Stands. I'm going to turn the volume low. We're going to go right back into it. So we're coming into action. Let me go from the very beginning. All right. So we see here we have some action. And for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, for those that might be hearing Small Town Backyard Wrestling for the first time, tell us what we're going to watch here.
So right here, it's me and Dalton, the executioner, going. Yes. And we've had a few good bouts, and this is just one of the many that we've had. This is just a simple wrestling match. He actually, at the very beginning of this, I was on a phone call, and I ended up going into my little office area, and he was sitting there in my chair on my computer.
I did see that, by the way, to start the show. I did see you come in. You got that nice little office there. I got to say, very impressive for those in this circuit.
Yeah, and so I kind of got upset at him and had it made to where me and him had a match. And so we like I said before, he's a good wrestler. So is Nolan, so is Peyton. He's been working on things. Everybody's been working on things, and he's one of the guys that I enjoy wrestling because he never fails to like be entertaining. So in every way, he's entertaining.
You could definitely see it here. I see some similarities with our friends over in BTW who we're going to have on tomorrow, and that'll be sometime after Raw. And, you know, I'm looking at what you guys do in the ring. Obviously, you have a little bit of experience wrestling in a ring with the IMF and such, but what does Dalton do? And we see you there miss, unfortunately. You're trying some type of high-flying move, and you kind of paid for that dearly. But talk to me for the audience, and what does Dalton do to bring out the best of you as a performer?
I mean, he's an excellent seller. He's been selling great. He sells great. He'll sell any move. He also he's been working on, like you just seen, a super kick. It didn't get too high, but he's been working on getting that a little better. He's just makes, and he also makes sure that we're
clothesline just there. I mean, boy, that was vicious. I wouldn't want to get in the middle of a back alley with him sometime.
Oh no, he gives a vicious shoulder clothesline, anything to do with his arm, and you're down. And that's just how it is, because he is a very strong opponent. And then he'll give me a power slam.
Well, and you definitely felt that power slam, and I gotta say, very impressed with the trampoline here. You know, there's some people that have trampolines and it looks like, well, you know, it's just a trampoline, but this is a really, I gotta say, a highly functioning trampoline there. Copper Dragon would be very proud. Copper Dragon talks about it. We see a run in there right now. We obviously
so Peyton's been gone out of action for a while. He was our money champion, and then this is his return.
And that's Peyton the Pacemaker for the audience. Yes,
and he returned, and as you can see, he's beating the crap out of me, and that's just how it is, and it's because but as you've seen in the beginning of the video,
I was like, that spear. Oh my goodness, that spear. I mean, Goldberg wishes he could have did that kind of spear.
Oh yeah, I mean, I even greeted him at the beginning of the video with an open hand. That handshake was to him, and he just basically, ignored it as me being nice, and he decided to run in on my match with Dalton and ruin it for
And
me.
obviously the match was thrown out there because it was a run in, and that's kind of
Yeah.
how it all ended there. And now we're seeing you back out there in action, and you're
Yep, it's
certainly
me
doing well.
versus Peyton now because I didn't like that last one, and he thought
So
he could.
you wanted to get him in the ring fair and square.
Exactly.
So where are you guys? So I see you guys are in Illinois. Where exactly are we watching this? Because I'm in New York City. I know absolutely nothing about anything. But where are we?
We are in a small town in Kewanee called a small town in Illinois called Kewanee,
Okay.
and it's like it's close to the Quad Cities, so close to Moline, Illinois, and close to it's basically close to Iowa. It's not too far from Iowa.
Okay. So that's how you're able to get to the IMF shows because they're
Yeah, it's only
available.
like about a 2 hour drive, so it isn't
Oh
too bad.
wow, okay, that's not bad at all. No, 2 hours. Listen, in New York City, it takes me 2 hours to get to some places that would take a few minutes. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but
Yeah,
yeah, really, really nice setting here. Is this on someone's property?
this is on actually at my house.
Wow, wow, this could be like my neighborhood. Wow, this is very much. It reminds me of my uncle lived in Greenwich, Connecticut, and he kind of had like your setup almost, but it was Greenwich, Connecticut. People thought, wow, he was like a millionaire, but he wasn't quite a well. His wife was sort of the millionaire because the house was basically worth a lot of money, but that's a different conversation for a different time. But really a nice setup here. And as I'm watching you guys in the ring, just really impressed with the trampoline as I was talking about. Copper Dragon would be very proud to watch because he talks about that high quality trampoline work is actually really important in our circuit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Eventually, what we want to do is we want to update it to the point where we can actually fully bounce off the ropes. So
Oh wow.
this is just for the looks at this point, but we're in the process of getting stuff so we can actually make it to where we can bounce off the ropes and go on turnbuckles and stuff for it.
Oh wow, okay, that's really cool. I know our friends over in Australia, Wrestling Zero, have been doing some of the same type of things there, and we see you there. You're getting up there with that super kick, but it looks like Peyton is still. Now you got him down. Now you got him down there, and
Peyton is a great competitor. He is strong. He is very strong, and he is very hard. So not a lot of moves can do much to him.
what does Peyton bring to the table as a competitor, not only against you, what we're watching right now, but also in small town backyard wrestling?
He brings strength. As you can see right there, his main attribute is strength, physique, and he is very fast going. So he likes to keep things going and going.
That's what I like. I like the fast pace, and I think that's what has really impressed me about you guys and what I've watched so far is that a handful of you guys are all in really good shape, and you've all really gone out there and I think put a lot of effort into this. And we see some of your moves. I mean, I've seen you obviously a little bit in the IMF, but watching you here definitely. Let me ask you, what do you here doing in wrestling and STBW? What does that do to help you when you go to places like the IMF? Talk to me about that.
So what we do here, and obviously it's on a trampoline, so it's softer landing and it doesn't hurt as much, but some of the moves do hurt like a lot.
Oh, I think listen, a move's a move. It's gonna hurt no matter what you do. It may, you know what I'm saying? That's I'm a believer of.
Exactly. But this helps us get practice and without getting too like hurt about it, and helps us like just work on our skill work and different moves that we want to try out. And yeah,
absolutely. And watching some of the stuff here, I mean, there's guys that are in a ring that can't do some of this stuff, and we're seeing you here, set up and take down. I know there's some comments. I'll get to some people here and say hello shortly. And you find a way to kick out, and we're watching things here in small town backyard wrestling. You can follow them on YouTube, Instagram, X. Yes, X is such a thing. And we are here with Tyler Fury. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. And if you're out there, hit the sub button for me at Sportswire Radio 6579. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. I've also put a couple of stipulations out there. If I get to 1,000 subs, 1,500 subs, 2,000 subs. But these guys are trying to get to 500 subs, and they're actually just past 300 not too long ago. They're doing really well. So
yes.
If you're out there, hit the sub button for our friends at Small Town Backyard Wrestling. I'll put their link up shortly after we watch the match here and stuff. So talk to me about wrestling 2 matches. Does that test your endurance at all, especially in the heat here
Yes,
in
it was
Illinois?
tiring, especially this day. This day specifically that this was on was very hot and humid outside.
I think
So
this whole summer's been hot and humid, except the last
yeah,
week here in New York. It's the same
and
thing. I was speaking. Yep, go ahead.
I believe just like a week or two before this, a tornado actually came through my town, and
Oh my God.
we we had 2 EF1s come through town, and one of them almost came and hit my house.
Oh my
Well,
God. I'm so sorry. I'm glad you're okay. I
me
was.
too. The trampoline out of everything stayed up and surprisingly didn't blow away.
I was going to ask you about that. You must have been worried about the trampoline because you're like, oh boy, I'm putting all this effort into it. And, what happens to the trampoline?
Yeah, it stayed up and it stayed perfect the whole time. Didn't have to do anything to it.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's pretty.
And then right there, you see it. I won against Peyton, and
You got a big win there, and it helps you get back to momentum because you were the world champion and you lost that to, Mr. Nolan Money McDermott. Let me take this off the screen first of all, and let me go like this so we can go like this. So if you have a chance, hit the sub button for our friends here at Small Town Backyard Wrestling. So you got the win. You're going to use that here for momentum coming up to get that championship back. Obviously, you lost it, I believe, on the Summer Bash show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I lost it on the Summer Bash show in Falls County where death match, and
and there was, I think you went in the pool. You were going out and other objects everywhere. I mean, I'll put that up shortly on the screen, but definitely, you have been put through the ringer this summer.
Oh yeah, for sure. And one thing that I will say though is coming up, we will be having another big show that isn't a Sunday night stands. It'll actually be another, like what we would call our pay-per-views. We have one coming out, which we will be reviewing on our channel sometime here soon.
Absolutely. And what I would also add, if you do anything on Instagram, I'm actually going to go a little further here on this. If you want to put me as a collaborator, I will be more than happy to share it on my Instagram page. Why do I say that? Because I have 1,600 plus followers on Instagram. So if you'd like to share it with me on Instagram, I could definitely put that announcement on my page here. So let me get to some comments before we come back into some different things. Hillbilly Tilly, a legend in our circuit. He is the general manager for the Alliance Wrestling League in beautiful Gadsden, Alabama. Howdy, fellas. How you doing? From the shock caller from the hauler. Also, I agree with Hillbilly Tilly. Nothing wrong with trampoline wrestling. As Copper Dragon says it, high-quality trampoline wrestling like this is very good. You might know this guy. He's bound in blood. He reigns in blood, sends his messages in blood.
What's up,
His
Ox?
name is Ox McCoy. Now, have you asked Ox McCoy to wrestle in your company? Nah, you don't want to get killed, right?
I'd rather not die.
That's a good point, by the way. Good point. Yes, and Ox actually might be. I'll probably bring up the announcement again that Ox shared with me on Friday's show. But always good to see my friend Ox McCoy, and hopefully your friend too. He sounds like you're a smart guy after all. Trampoline wrestlers are usually more of the talented ones in the yard because you use it to perfect your craft. You use it to do things to help you in terms of where you go. I hear that. In the few years wrestling on the ground, I injured myself to the point I still feel the abuse I put my body through over a decade later. So that's well, how's your body feeling right now? How's the body holding up?
It's feeling great. I mean, after that last IMF show, though, me getting the crap beat out of me, and then towards the end, getting beat with that I got beat with something that I wasn't very proud about.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the match yet, so I don't know what the outcome of it was. So I'll have to tell people to, stay tuned, right?
Stay tuned on the IMF channel, and let me tell you, the matches were great. Especially the one I hate to bring it up, but especially the one between Felix and his, I guess, ex-father.
Well, that actually I do know about. I'll come back to that in a little while. But that match, the reason I know that outcome, because Justin Parsley was here to be inducted into the Hall of Fame a 4th time, and Soldier interrupted and pretty much said, well, he defeated Felix despite a payoff and such. So I won't go into that in further detail. But I see the YouTube page here, and you guys have done really well so far. I'm going to put up the Summer Brawl Bash in a second. I'll let you talk about some of the other wrestlers. But you guys have 300 plus subscribers, and you guys are doing really well. And just talk to me about the overall success and just how things are going in the company.
So I'm gonna start from the beginning. From the beginning of where we started. I mean, we were just newbies basically that loved wrestling and just wanted to get into it. And this basically, we didn't think it would get to this point. We honestly thought after a while we'd get bored with it.
Why
So
would you say you get bored for it? Why from it?
we just thought it would get boring after a while, just being in our backyard. But then once we saw people start liking our videos, subscribing, and everything, then we started basically building stories and just going with it. And then now we're at around 316 subscribers and over like 5,000 views on our channel. So that's really good. And we didn't expect it to get to here. And for that, we thank everybody for
Absolutely.
watching.
And I love, that's what I'm really here for. A lot of times I hear from people and they say, oh, the backyard and the underground wrestling circuit, it's all toxic and everybody's the same. But no, this is what it's about. These guys started a company, a year and change ago, and they're working with the IMF. They were in title matches. They've got thousands of views in matches on their pages, and they're really growing. And to me, that's what it's all about. We're all in together. We win, and I'm really, really happy about that. And no, Zilla, Tyler is not in the foundation, and he's been wrestling in the backyard for about a year and a half, roughly. So that's that.
Yes.
But let me ask you another question. Generally, what led you to start small town backyard wrestling? What led you to starting it, and who were some of the wrestlers that you wanted to basically emulate or inspired you to want to go out and do this?
When I originally came up with the idea, it was like just randomly, it was Halloween actually. And we were just talking about wrestling and we seen some Halloween costumes of wrestlers and it kind of sparked an idea in our brain. And we were like, maybe we could start doing that at our house. And that's where I said, hey, I have a trampoline. Why not put it to use? So we started messing around. We actually have many different entrances we use, and we experiment with that because we've used trailers, and we've seen in that last video is actually my old trampoline frame that we just threw up like that.
Yeah, I was so cool because some people put up these like makeshift, I don't know, almost like think about like big cardboard boxes like where you like order things from, and they'll put that up, or you'll see like a fence or something like that's metal, and some people go through. But yours is like, that's pretty cool. I got to be honest, it's like pretty cool.
Yeah, and the idea basically came for us wrestling. Started in November. Well, we were going to start in November. We filmed some stuff, and then we were like, that's a little tricky. So then we started like wrestling around, training a little more with each other. And then we were going to start in December, but then snow started coming, blah, blah, blah. And then in January, we finally said, screw the snow, and went outside and started the channel with cool. I think our first ever show was called New Rebellion, and that was the first ever show on the channel.
So, actually, right here. Yep, but you have it right here. New Rebellion. There you go.
Yes.
There you go, and that's the history. Wow, you just never know, and what you could do and what you could learn, and you guys have had a lot of success. And I always ask wrestlers this question before we come back to different things, but Tyler, what are your goals here for the rest of the year? I know we're still probably about 5 months or so left in the year. Still a lot of time. I know you're starting to get your feet wet out there, but what are your goals for the rest of the year?
My goals for the rest of the year, I'll talk about my goals in backyard and in IMF. So in backyard, I would say my goal is to get my championship back from Nolan Money McDermott and have some good matches along with my friends and rivals and whatnot, and that's in the backyard. And then IMF, as you know, me and Thomas are a tag team. We want to put ourselves out there, and actually I have something later on about the next show for IMF I would like to talk about later on after a little while.
Sure, absolutely, sure.
With what me and Thomas will be doing at the next show. But yeah, I would like to put me and Thomas out there. I'd like to do some work by myself, try to maybe go after a championship or something. But for now, I just want to have fun and enjoy the time that I have in IMF.
Absolutely. I'll definitely get to that in a little while, and we'll certainly look forward to that. I'll come back to Thomas as well as a question, but I do want to put up the Summer Brawl Bash show because that actually show got over 1,000+ views, and that was really successful. And while I, put that on the screen, what was that like to you to have that much success of Summer Brawl Bash, to have that many views, over 1,000+ views? Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. It's extremely like in my mind, I'm mind blown. I didn't expect it to get as big as it did. I don't ever expect any of the videos to get as big as they do. And like when we do and I see the views rack up, I'm like, what a show. So
do you know, I never asked this question to wrestlers. I mean, obviously it's different when it's like TBW and, when IMF was in the yard, I'm sure it'd be the same for them and, a couple of the bigger feds. But like when you go out there and you have these shows, do you know right away this is going to be a hit? Like, what do you what's going through your mind when you have these matches and put these shows on in terms of perception?
When we put these shows on and stuff, it's just what goes through my mind is it going to be good? Let's make it good. And basically before every show, I try to give a pep talk type thing. And we talk about what's going to go on and we talk about the rundown and then we go through and it's basically just a flip of a coin. It's 50-50.
Well, I mean, you're definitely not feeling like you've been flipped over a coin. You might have been flipped over right now, but you're certainly going through a lot here with, Nolan Money McDermott here. And just, you were watching the match and stuff. And, from your perspective here in a match like this, what makes you pace yourself through to have a match like this?
Well, for a match like this where it's extreme, you want to pace yourself. For one, you're going to get hit with heavy weapons just like that.
Oh, I was going to say, kids, don't try this at home.
Yeah, it can hurt. It sometimes you can if you're not careful with it, it can hurt you very badly. And we try not to hurt each other too bad, but sometimes it just happens. And what I would say is how I would pace myself is just slowly go into certain spots and take certain bumps that I know I can take without hurting or like breaking something.
Is there something you do to help with that? Or is it just kind of like you have a way that you can figure out where and what to do that you would get into that particular predicament?
To help with it, well, for one, if we know that so and so is going to be in a big match, that those 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many people are in the match, they will take ibuprofen and take.
Well, that's a good idea. And that's a very good idea, ibuprofen. And did you swallow that and spit it in Nolan's mouth, or what? And what did you taste there?
I have no idea.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to ask him how it tasted, but it looks like Nolan tasted the tree branch there, and that definitely hurt.
Oh yeah, and so, like I said, ibuprofen, lots of water, electrolytes, and stuff like that, just to stay hydrated and stuff. And our concern right now is it's getting later in the year is going to be snow, so we'll have to see how we can do in the snow.
That's an interesting question. And we're here, of course, with Tyler Fury. Tyler Fury, you've seen him in places like the IMF. You've also now seen him as a part of Small Town Backyard Wrestling. He is here with us talking about it. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. You have voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. And I'll be here at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Time with James Taylor, who has returned to the ring for the first time in nearly a year. He wrestled Gabe Sayers and Anthony Steele, and we'll talk about that. And what about this year? First of all, boy, you were trying something, and it looks like the champion was more or less, you as the champion weren't able to come through with that.
Oh no, he ruined it.
Were you trying like some type of like 450 splash or something? That were you trying? Or
I was right there. I was going to try a back handspring and run at him. Then I was going to cross body him actually, but he caught me before I could go up and cross body. So it kind of hurt my gut.
I was going to ask you, and I'll have a couple of comments I'll get to in a second. Hang on tight. You talked about the winter and such, and there are now a lot of places in our circuit, they stop when it gets to a certain point in the year. They stop because of whatever reasons, the cold, the snow, but you guys have decided to march on. Why have
We
you guys decided to march on versus, let's say, when other feds, when it gets to a certain point in the year, they just wrap it up until, let's say, maybe if they're lucky, March, but realistically more like April? Why have you guys decided to power through it?
we power through it because, for one, we have a fan base that we need to make happy, and two, it gives us more practice. Not only more practice, but have fun and explore new match types, explore new like ways to do certain moves in the snow and stuff. And we just like pushing on because why would we stop? I mean, we've been out there in probably like -10 weather before, just wrestling.
Now, what do you like better? Some guys like the heat because, you're in less clothing. You could just go out there and move. Other people think they like the cold better because you just layer up and you got more of that blood rushing through you. What do you and the rest of the guys like as you're going through some elements here?
I would say we like it halfway between summer and winter. So like
Which we
fall.
never get here in the Midwest and the Northeast more than like a few days of the year. I mean, we never get that
Exactly.
sweet spot.
We love that sweet spot. So when that sweet spot comes around, we like to film a lot of stuff just to get ahead of schedule and just have everything ready.
What is that for you guys? Is that September, October? Is that more May? What is that sweet spot
It's
for
actually
you?
like late October usually, because
Okay.
even in November, this last year it was horrible. Like the first few weeks in November, we had almost 100-degree weather here, so it
In
wasn't that
November?
good. Yeah,
Holy
and
shoot, you're going through some water right there. And how did that water taste?
chlorine.
I knew that from the commentary, but I was gonna ask you anyway because it reminds me. I went in my pool earlier today, and I think my brother put too much of that in to shock the pool. But I won't ask you about that. But wow, 100 degrees in November. Holy shit! I would have thought Illinois it's like 50 degrees from like September 20th on, but no, you got 100 degrees. Wow.
No, yeah, it's been kind of warm in November, and it just sucks. But usually our sweet spot is towards the end of October, so around Halloween time, October 31st is when
Yeah,
it's
I've
our
always
sweet
thought
spot.
October here. Like I'm in New York. I'm in New York City. I've always thought the best weather that we really have in New York is probably like I would say like late September into around really Halloween, even early November. The weather we've gotten like 70 degrees here. May is a nice month, but even May, you're still getting like the remnants of like the weird weather. But really, yeah, I think October, September, October are nicer months. It used to be as a kid. I remember like October. I think Scorpion the Assassin's from New York, although he's more upstate than I am. But I remember as a kid, like September was cold. Now September and October are a warm month. I mean, one year I think I kept the pool open in my backyard until like almost Halloween. So, but we're watching you guys here, square it off and boy, I mean, maybe you should have just took your shirt off, and he should have took his shirt off, Nolan Money, McDermott, and you guys could have just really just had a match in the pool. I think there was an old WCW match somewhere where they actually like had a match in the pool.
Yes, there was an old WCW match where it was around a pool, and I remember that briefly watching it on YouTube. Obviously, I wasn't around then, but
Neither was I actually. Neither was I. I mean, I might have been
so
born. I don't remember it, but
I,
I've
I've
seen
I've
that.
seen that, and where I forgot who it was, but somebody got scared of somebody and decided to go jump into the pool. So
Well,
I
right
remember.
now, Nolan Money McDermott definitely will have to probably put some money into drying his clothes because his clothes are all soaking wet. That's the worst feeling, going in the pool with soaking wet clothes. Hopefully, he took his wallet out, he took his ID out, and he took his money out of the pool because he's also supposedly full of money. But obviously, he's definitely gone through the ringer and he's gotten a taste of that cold drench of that water. And he's coming back after you and maybe he's thinking about taking. Why didn't he take his sweater off? Wouldn't it have been smart of him to take that sweater off so he could, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it would be smart of him to take the sweater off. I don't know what he was doing, and then he caught my kick there.
Well,
Don't know what he caught.
unfortunately for you, you look like you were lucky you didn't twist your ankle there. And then you're kind of shaking it off a little bit. And now I think Nolan McDermott's waiting to do something here. And I know what it is, but for the audience, we'll see. And boy, you better run real quick. You better run.
Yeah, he picked up that, and I didn't expect him to. So there's a lot of stuff in the backyard we can use. Obviously, we have branches, and we have other things like rocks and stuff we just pick up and go on with.
Do you have a favorite object that you like to use?
My favorite object is probably any sort of metal pool, bat, or sledgehammer.
Well, you definitely got some of that here, and boy, you got some big space there. I thought this was going to hurt you when you're going through that. Boy, that was like, I wasn't going to do my intro to you.
Yeah, that hurt, and then
that was where it's going to get a little bit dicey for the audience, and we see there's some little knee kicks there, and you might want to stay down on the ground, but he's taking your shoes off there. How nice of him to take his, it was nice of him to take your shoes off, take your socks off. I mean, maybe, I think that's gentlemanly like of him, but I don't think Nolan Money McDermott is doing it for those reasons.
No. Oh, and now he's trying to get my knee pads off. So,
well, that might be a little bit more dicey. We don't want to certainly take those knee pads off, and he's definitely looking at that camera there, and he's definitely. What kind of competitor is he versus, let's say, Peyton the Pacemaker and Dalton? What is he as a competitor?
He's a cocky competitor.
I can see that in mannerisms.
He's really good at talking. His main attribute is talking, and he just likes talking, and he's one of the better guys at talking than all of us.
Why is he such a good talker?
Well, because he stays in character very well. He can keep straight face in any certain situation. There's actually a short on our channel. It's kind of like a blooper because we ended up scrapping the match, but it was a fatal 4-way, and I accidentally kicked him down low, and I accidentally went a little too hard, and he tried to stay in character, but he just couldn't. That was one of the times that we all.
That might be one of those. He might have wanted to wear a cup, but you certainly didn't need a cup here because you took a dip into that pool, and you definitely came out of it. Maybe that was a good thing. He took off your socks and shoes because at least your socks and shoes weren't wet. Because the worst feeling in the world is wet socks. I can tell you that from experience. I have been a newspaper carrier since probably 18 or 19, probably almost that long, and that's been the worst feeling is ever having wet socks and walking in them for hours at a time. And you certainly didn't have that feeling there, but Nolan Money McDermott definitely isn't full of money, and I hope for his sake his money wasn't in his pocket because otherwise that money would take days to dry off. And while I'm here with you guys taking a little bit of a break, let me get to some comments. The man that I'm going to see here late a little while, James Taylor, who made his return to the ring. He says hello to both of us. Thank you, James, for that. Scorpion the Assassin has a good one and good word of advice. Always like when Scorpion's in the house. Keep it up. Beginnings happen different for all. Train, study, ask real pros questions, and that talent will grow. More the skills grow, the more doors and invites will come. I'll be watching. Pretty good stuff there. Scorpion always gives insightful commentary. Appreciate that. And he also wants to point out, he rocked in the sun, rain, cold, and snow. I guess, well, he's in upstate New York. So in upstate New York, it's different than in New York City. For me, I'm depressed when we get to January 1st. Christmas is okay. The lights are up. People walk around. But after that, I'm not feeling normal again until about March 15th. But that's okay. It's not about me. Chase Wakefield, the Bitcoin billionaire who I speaking with earlier, I want to congratulate him. He is now engaged with his beautiful better half. They're planning to get married in the near and distant future. And I know Chase will be here sure to talk about that the next few weeks on Sportswire. Saw him in attendance in the DBW show that just took place Thursday Night Thunder Punch. Hope he's doing well. Speaking of people that certainly know hardcore, maybe you'll meet them one day in Iowa. I won't say anything further than that. Mr. Jake Dvorak, he is the NEW Underground World Heavyweight Champion. He is the creator of the Riot in the Ring. He is also the creator of the All Wrestling Matters Hardcore Tournament. And I have a feeling he's going to be many places. And I saw him and the NEW gang yesterday here on Sportswire Radio. So he says, "What's up, guys?" And speaking of people who I unfortunately was sad to see lose yesterday in Tennessee Backyard Wrestling's Rebellion show, my hardcore king has been tamed. He has been beaten by Manny Cobra, and he was forced to bow down to him and had to show his respect. But I always respect my hardcore king. He will always be my hardcore king. And I say hello to him. But you took a break there just now. You took a break, and, why'd you take the rest stop there, champ? At the time you were the champ.
I was tired. It was hot, so I decided to sit down after getting in that pool and just taking a small little break. And while Nolan was in the pool, just chilling out.
Chilling like a villain, as they say. But you're definitely not going to be chilling here because Nolan has gotten back up and he's about to do some damage to you that, Atomic Titan and Jake Dvorak would know firsthand about. But you're definitely going through it. And boy, those pebbles look like they would hurt.
Yeah. I hope we never have a spot where any of us end up on it because.
Well, good news is winter will be here in a few months, and you won't have to worry about that. You'll worry about, I'm sure, snow and ice and everything else in between. But as I'm sad to say, you'll probably have your pool open for another 2 months. Well, then again, you had November 100 degrees, so maybe you'll keep it open until November. Who knows?
Maybe, and you never know. We've kept our pool open at really different times. It just depends on how warm it stays.
Well, if it was up to me, I'd actually keep my pool open all year long. But then again, I'd have to buy one of those water heaters. But who knows? Maybe I make enough money. Well, actually, I have enough money, but maybe I'll make enough money and put it into it. I don't know. Well, I shouldn't say that because I have the money to do it. It's a matter of timing. But you guys certainly took a timing, another dip in that water. Boy, you've seen that water maybe more than you saw all summer so far.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is the most I've been in the pool. I haven't even been in the pool since then, probably. So.
Wow. Okay. Maybe it's the scars of being in the pool, huh?
Yeah. For sure.
Good enough there. And, he's obviously getting his rest and you're in the water and you're, I guess, swimming and whatever else. And, I guess luckily for Nolan, his socks are off and, he's just thinking about what's to come and such for those that are, out there. Cause I believe he's, unfortunately taken something away from you or he's about to.
For sure. And yeah, that's the sad part is because, well, you guys will end up seeing it here.
Oh, I saw it. That's why it's coming here real soon. Jake wanted to ask what exactly type of match was this? It was a
Falls Count Anywhere death match.
I was going to ask you that. And yes, you definitely took one there. You took one there in the head. It was a Falls Count Anywhere death match because there was definitely a lot of falls, but you're definitely down for the count. And that kick to the head just was too much to bear after all that pain in the pool.
That did it. It was a punt kick style kick, and I just couldn't handle it anymore.
Wasn't quite the punt kick that Randy Orton gave Stephanie McMahon on Raw years ago, but still enough to send Tyler Fury packing as the small town backyard wrestling heavyweight champion. And we'll take this off the screen for now, and we'll put this YouTube back up. But tough one to bear, I know. And I'm sure you're going to look to want to get back at Nolan Money McDermott.
Yes. He's actually, God only knows where right now. I haven't seen him in a while. So.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've had a few of these things on Sportswire before. So if it does come to fruition, you better make sure your doors are locked because I've seen guys run in on guests and get beat up. So I'm not going to spoil anything there, but we'll see there. Let me get to a couple of comments. Not to take the topic off the guest, but Atomic Titan's comeback will be unbelievable. Time will tell. Episode 167 should be out this Thursday. Is it this Thursday or next Thursday? Jake wanted to know where was the blood. Well, let's just say that you were in the pool so many times that the pool basically stunned the blood, right?
Oh, yeah.
Good point. Well, he's saving the blood for when he goes back to All Out Warfare in the next IMF show because he wrestles on some of the IMF pre-shows. So that would be the answer to that. So
we'll see what happens on the next show, and I'll tell you guys a little bit about that later.
Okay, cool enough. Good deal. And again, if you want to check out some of these things, we can definitely do that here on the YouTube page. And just anything else that you want to share about where you go from here? Obviously, still a lot that you want to do, get that championship back in small town backyard wrestling. But is there anything else that you would like our audience to know and why they should check out small town backyard wrestling?
Well, I can tell you this. Once we reach a certain point on our channel, and soon, I'll say this, soon, we'll actually have merchandise.
Oh, good. Everybody's got merchandise. Got to get the merchandise. The merchandise helps you get a ring, helps you get in terms of, let's say, money toward putting supplies down, or you want to travel. Those things are really helpful.
So we're going to do that. And then, another reason to watch is it's a fun atmosphere. I mean, we don't do like every once in a while we'll do like us practicing live streams, like just us practicing moves on each other. And then every once in a while we'll also do live shows where we do live streams instead of just.
No, I would actually make a suggestion. If you are going to do a live stream or looking to put something on the air, this is Sportswire. This is prime time, the brightest lights, the biggest stage, the only platform where all wrestling matters. And if you feel like putting something out there live, I'm going to offer it out there. I mean, I've actually had a few matches live before. We've had a few different things. So if that's something you want to do one day during the season, I think that people would like to see something like that. I think people would really be interested in that.
I'll definitely stay in touch with you.
I would hope you would, because I'm probably going to see you anyway back at the next All Out Warfare show. So we'll definitely see that. I like to see more of that. That's always something that, I've always wanted to go into and do more here. So, okay, so we got that out of the way. I'll circle back to more of small town backyard wrestling shortly. Also, yes, Zilla bows down to Atomic Titan, but right now we're here with Tyler Fury, and Tyler here is obviously, I'm going to put the screen up a little bit so I can see it right now. So obviously we'll talk about some of those things. While I have a chance, before I kind of switch into the IMF, I do want to put up Ox McCoy's announcement, because Ox McCoy obviously had something that I think some people caught and some people didn't catch on the last Sportswire show, which was Friday night. We had the guys here on Saturday, but let me put this back up on the screen, because you probably might have something to say about this. Well, maybe you won't take part in it, because I think for your safety, you won't take part in it. But for those that are listening and watching here, and definitely this one I would not recommend. But next year there will be Summer Bash 3, and that's going to be at the Palo Community Center in the IMF. And what's going to be taking place, and of course yours truly is sponsoring it along with the boys in the IMF, is that we're going to have the All Wrestling Matters Ultraviolent Cup. Details coming soon. It'll certainly be something that we'll be supporting quite a bit on Sportswire Radio. And I want to congratulate Ox McCoy for working on that. I think Jake Dvorak had a little bit of a hand in that. I know Jake spoke to Ox about that. I think he mentioned it on last night's show we had with the NEW gang. And I obviously support that. Ox has been a very good friend of mine. He's been a supporter and really a guy that reigns in all his messages in blood. We're going to have the Ultraviolent Cup from the All Wrestling Matters vision of Sportswire Radio and the IMF and the rest of the gang. So that's going to be a really cool thing. It's the All Wrestling Matters Ultraviolent Cup. Details coming soon. You'll get it on this platform, the IMF social media. So my advice to you, Tyler, is not to take part in that. But until then, I say thank you.
If Ox is a part of it, I'm staying away.
That's smartest thing anybody could say all week on Sportswire. If Ox McCoy is a part of it, you might want it to quote Iron Maiden, "Run to the hills," because if Ox is in that, Ox is going to certainly look to definitely do some damage. But okay, so let me talk to the IMF about you with it for a few minutes, because I got to go back into small town backyard wrestling for the end of the show. So really, where I know you from is your wars with this guy Felix Jones. Felix Jones is a guy that, again, I'm not going to ask you thoughts on Justin Parsley and Soldier. I'm not going to go there, but you wrestled Felix Jones multiple times. A lot of people have watched you wrestle Felix Jones. Why do you and Felix Jones have quite the rivalry for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio?
Well, it all started I think it was October. Or no, it was June. June was the first time last June was the first time I went over to IMF, and he was actually my first singles match in IMF. And then when he was a part of the Midwest Express, me and Peyton were a tag team over there, and we decided to go over there and verse them. So One big reason I have a big rivalry with him is because, well, he beat me in my first match. And in the second match, that leading up to the second match, there was a show that I couldn't be at. And, well, he said that since I didn't show up, I had to relinquish my title to him. So, yeah, this is our first bout. But yeah, in later on, there was a second show I was supposed to be a part of, but he said that since I didn't show up to it, that I had to relinquish my title to him. So my title was then relinquished to him. So that only gave me another reason to go back at him for my title.
What does he bring to the table as a competitor that's different from what we've seen you in small town backyard wrestling?
Well, he'll take any risk, any bump. He's definitely one of those that'll do anything with you. Like, he doesn't care. He doesn't. He In a way you could say that he doesn't think. He just does.
Okay, fair enough. And I mean, obviously, he's progressed a long way. You've come a long way. When you have a match like this, get this many views. I know we talked about Summer Brawl Brash getting 1,000 views, but this Tyler got two. Tyson Fury would even be proud of 2,000 views. What is it like to get 2,000 views on a match like this? I mean, it has to have changed your career.
Oh yeah, this was the first big match for me since it was my first match in a wrestling ring. Shoot, I loved every second of it, and the views I could tell were worth it. So,
did that experience first time in the ring? Did that add to the success and such? Because I mean, a lot of people first time in the ring, their first ring match might be, they're lucky, 20 views. I don't know, 30 views, but you get 2,000. I mean, that had to take away a lot of the nerves.
It was very lucky. I was nervous just to be there. I mean, first match in a wrestling ring, barely knew what I was doing, but I went in there and I did what I knew how to do and just pushed through it.
Did Felix help you in any way as a competitor?
Yes, actually, wrestling him was probably one of the better things, and especially wrestling him more than once in a row. And the reason why is because he helped me get better as a competitor and as a talent. He helped me, like the German suplex that I just gave him, my hands were a little high. Something he told me personally was lower my hands around his waist, and it made it better. So he gives me advice on the fly to make me a little better. So I would say that's what he can add.
And obviously, he's a young and up and coming star, and leave aside his situation with his dad, but as a competitor, certainly, again, a very up and coming competitor. When you step into the ring for the first time, I know you've obviously been wrestling, but walk me through that day here in the IMF, just how you felt.
So when we got there, me and Peyton were nervous, really nervous. There, and with no doubt, and me and him showed up there, and actually before the show, they had me and Peyton do a practice match against each other, and we went out there and we must have impressed them. And at the beginning of this match, you saw my back handspring stunner combo. They just adored that. So it was fantastic. And I mean, I was nervous, but as I was getting into it, adrenaline just kicked in and I just kept on pushing.
Was this the show you were on that I think the WCE guys were on also, like Dash Andrews and Darkfire, Sean Jovi and Nicholas Crenson? Was that the show you were on?
This wasn't this show. It was actually if I'm not mistaken, the next show where you're talking about the match with the ladder match and all that.
Correct. Yep.
Yep,
there was a bunch of WCU guys that went there, and then IMF went there right around almost like a year ago, which would put this right around then. I was wondering what the timestamp was on it, if you were on that show with them or not.
I was actually on the show where that one ladder match was, and I was in the ladder match, and I hit a fantastic move. I hit a cutter off the ladder, so it was really good.
What was that experience like? That was kind of, in a way, I know the IMF had Summer Bash the year, a month prior, last year. And, that was like the moment. I don't want to say that was the moment that Summer Bash was born, because I think there's a different number of things that come into play. But that was the moment where IMF starts to, work with WCE. WCE guys come in, and, what was that show like you were on with all those different guys in WCE and such? What was that experience like?
It was fantastic, to be honest. I enjoyed working with all of them and just being around them. They're nice people, good energy, and they just know how to make it feel like a very good environment.
You've obviously started your journey very recently, but when you see all these different things going on that, IMF guys, WCE guys are a part of, DKW certainly, the Summer Bash, does that also kind of influence you that you would like to do more collaborations and such with your company? And just talk to me about that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when I see all these shows that they're putting on all together and everything, makes me hope and wish that someday for when I can get a wrestling ring. But not only that, just it makes me wish and hope that one day all of us, because only me and Peyton really have been over to IMF. So I would love to see the our other two competitors here at STBW go over there and do some stuff over there with them too. One thing I do most certainly want to do one day that all four of us can go, all four of us competitors over here at STW, is have some matches for a Sunday night stands or something in their wrestling ring if they'd let us.
That would be very cool. I mean, I know you've obviously wrestled in the Rage in the Cage there not long ago, and that was an experience. But that would be really cool. I think that just shows that there's obviously a lot there, and you're certainly collaborating there more or less with the Midwest Express, who are the current tag team champions. Jordan Nets was the world champion there last year. And what are they like as performers, Jason Myers and Jordan Nets?
They are spectacular performers. They are high flying. They are just phenomenal. I mean, and it's funny that you bring them up, because I guess now that we're viewing their channel, I could say this, a little something. Me and Thomas at the next show have a little challenge that we want to throw out there for the Midwest Express, for the tag team championships.
So you mean to tell me that you and your tag team partner, Thomas McEntee, have a challenge presented to the current champions, the Midwest Express, Jason Myers and Jordan Nets, that those belts, you want to bring those belts now to the state of Illinois?
Yes, we would like to bring those belts to the state of Illinois, and we would just love to be wearing that gold.
Well, you know what? I think that would be a rather interesting proposal, and I think that could be a very interesting scenario, and I think August 17th is not too far around the corner. As a matter of fact, we're less than 3 weeks now, and I know that we're going to have a bunch of you guys on August the 15th, and I would have no doubt that Mr. Nets and Mr. Myers will probably be here on Sportswire Radio, and I'm sure you and Thomas will probably be back here as well in All Out Warfare to talk about that, maybe, I would have to imagine.
Oh, yeah. I could just say this now. If they end up accepting and we go on with this match, then coming out the champions.
What would it mean to you to be the IMF Tag Team Champions, one half of it?
It would mean a lot because, well, that would be the first big championship other than here in STW that I would hold. And it would be with one of my buddies that's close, that me and him are close. So it would mean everything.
And being a champion for the IMF, a company that has so much success and has such a following that is so talked about in this circuit, that even adds more to it, no?
Yeah, it adds a lot more to it.
Well, I think that could be a really, really interesting, thing that a lot of people would, like to see more or less. And being a tag team champion, what is Thomas like as a tag team partner?
Thomas is a wonderful tag team partner. I mean, just being around him, he gives off a good attitude. And even just like as a person himself, he just brings out the joy in people, and he just tries to make sure people are okay when they're not okay, and he's just a nice guy in general.
And he's a guy also that has a lot more experience. He's a guy, Jackson Law spoke about him last Sunday and talked about his experience, talked about some of the things that he's done. And I think that he helps you, right, with experience and such. He's a guy that's obviously been through this. So talk about that experience aspect that he helps you with.
He definitely helps with experience because before the show that me and him were part of it actually became a 4-way tag match that same day.
And he
So
wrestled Levi McDaniel, right, a couple times. Didn't he wrestle Levi
yes,
McDaniel?
he has wrestled Levi multiple times. So it was especially very phenomenal to
And the
have
good news,
him.
and the good news for him was, thankfully, he didn't wrestle the Anarchist Gunshot. I won't ask you anything on the Anarchist Gunshot. Just look it up somewhere. Think of the name Silverwolf. Just think of Gunshot, and it's like worse. It's worse. I'll just put it that way. But certainly, what's Levi McDaniel been like for you? Levi obviously is a guy that even Soldier and Omen, I know, look to for advice. What advice has Levi McDaniel given you at all?
He has given me advice a few times, and one of the main things he says is just go out there and have fun, do your job, and get it done.
That's actually pretty right to the point there. That's actually really good stuff there. And speaking of somebody that likes to wish you well, it is his show after all, Mr. Omen Black, who posted something on Facebook about disappearing, and I was like, it's your show. You can't disappear because we need you here on Sportswire, bud. So obviously, I hope you're doing well out there, and I'm sorry to see what you posted, but you're always welcome here on Sportswire. So hopefully, whatever it is, maybe you'll make somebody disappear in the ring. Maybe that's what it is. But talk about the boogeyman of the Midwest. Anything you want to share? Hopefully, it's not too violent.
I mean, he's one hell of a competitor. I can tell you that.
I know it firsthand. There's no question about that. Definitely, know that firsthand. There is no question that he adds a lot.
He can put on a show. I mean, one thing you don't want to do is receive a chop from him, because after receiving multiple chops from him, it sucks. You have welts, you're bleeding, and that's just horrible.
I think Anthony Steele has found that out firsthand. I think a lot of guys have found that out firsthand, and hopefully you'll focus on winning a tag team championship. And Thomas McEntee, and to confirm here, Thomas McEntee, for those that are listening and watching here on Sportswire Radio, it'll be Tyler Fury and Thomas McEntee will be squaring off for the IMF Tag Team Championships at All Out Warfare less than 3 weeks from now. And also that Thursday, we'll have all of the guys here. The gang will be here August 15th, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So definitely check that out. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. Have here another about 15 or 20 or so minutes here with Mr. Tyler Fury. And I want to give a big plug because I promised a plug here. And if I don't do this plug, I'm going to certainly get my ears plugged and maybe myself plugged somewhere else in the ground. Because after all, there are people that might want to see that. But until then, I want to plug our friends over in the Backyard Wrestling Hub. They've kind of become the one-stop place for all things related to shout-outs, news, interviews, you name it, social media. The best in the BYW scene, the best in our circuit. BYW has all of it covered here on the Backyard Wrestling Hub, and they were very kind enough to share my YouTube channel on their Instagram story, and I want to reciprocate and support the guys here at the Backyard Wrestling Hub. You can check them out at BYW_hub. That's BYW_hub. So it doesn't matter if you're a fan of TBW. It doesn't matter if you're a fan of BTW. Doesn't matter if you're a fan of STBW, not to be confused with STP, the Stone Temple Pilots, not to be confused with if you're fans of any other company out there in the backyard in the underground wrestling circuit. That can include places like Resurrection Wrestling, LBYW, FBW, YBW, XCW even, DBW. I don't even know if we call DBW backyard anymore, but the point is that there are so many great companies out there. The Backyard Wrestling Hub is covering them. They have them. You want to check them out. Instagram. Please support those that support us. It's about All Wrestling Matters. That includes supporting those that get that message out there of All Wrestling Matters. And the Backyard Wrestling Hub is a part of that Instagram, BYW_hub. Please support them. My name is literally All Wrestling Matters. So, okay, we'll keep that up here on the screen for another minute. But, okay, so we got IMF business out of the way. I'm not going to ask you anything on the whole situation with Soldier, Parsley, and Felix. You've announced that you're going to have a title match upcoming against Jason Myers and Jordan Nets. I have a feeling you're going to be here in a couple of weeks to talk about that. So let's come back to small town backyard wrestling. Is there anything else for the audience you would like to share for us that we should know?
I would say your support would be appreciated. Yeah. But even you don't have to, I will say this, you don't have to like or subscribe to even just support. Go ahead and just
No, we should like and support. We should like and hit that sub button. Everybody, it's a simple 2-second thing at this point. No, I have to kindly step in there because it's all it takes. And I'm going to put it right back up on the screen here one more time. All it takes, and this is so simple. It's quicker than a New York minute. All you have to do is just hit the sub button. It doesn't take anything more than a simple click the sub button. Even if you don't watch a full-length show, hit the sub button. Go out and support the guys. Because, again, they want to get more subs. They want to get more people because it'll allow them to reach somebody else out there because it's all about algorithms. So you can continue, but I do want everybody to actually go out there and hit that sub button for you guys.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Okay, well, anything else you want to share about STBW?
Well, I mean, I will say that what we have going on right now is the every other week thing, but we will start going back to an every week thing once we get our stuff straight with what we're doing on our channel.
Okay, we'll definitely check that out. Obviously, this is the YouTube page. Also, I want to put it out there as Instagram. Also, I'm going to put the banner up for that. And if you'd like to support the guys, you can do that on X as well. And I have also said any future post for STBW, definitely put me as a collaborator. I will be more than happy to share that. We will definitely talk about some of that in the future. I look forward to speaking with anybody related to STBW. And I'm going to see you here, I think, in a few short weeks from now. So I look forward to all of that here. Okay, so I think I've gotten out most of the things in the way. Is there anything else for our audience that you'd like to add before we get to closing thoughts?
Now, I will say something directly about STBW is I will get my title back.
You will. So you will get it from Nolan Money McDermott.
I will.
Okay.
But there's a few obstacles I have to go through. And one of the obstacles is Dalton. And he's just annoying sometimes, and he just has it going on. And
I want my title shot.
Wait a minute, is that Dalton? Is that Dalton? Wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, it is Dalton. Dalton, was that Dalton? Is it arrived in? Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen!
I want my title shot, Nolan. Come on.
Nolan Money McDermott, you better be looking over your shoulders because Dalton has just come out of nowhere and has senselessly beaten Tyler Fury. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler, we're going to end the show off this because what we've seen here just now, I mean, listen, I told you earlier, you had to lock the doors. I told you earlier, you had to go out there and make sure this wouldn't happen, but you're certainly going to be dealing with roadblocks. You know what? Forget about August 17th. Forget about all-out warfare. It's going to be all-out warfare when it comes to small-town backyard wrestling. Tyler Fury, I mean, he's got cuts right now. He's certainly been hit harder than Tyson Fury. Dalton has come out of nowhere, and he has just said, you know what? Tyler Fury, you're going to have to wait to finish that story once again and regain that STBW championship. It looks like Tyler Fury, he is down for the count, and I don't know if he's going to recover. You're going to have to go to the Small Town Backyard Wrestling's YouTube, Instagram, and X pages to find out more. I'm not sure if Tyler Fury is going to make it to Palo, Iowa, to the Palo Community Center at All Out Warfare because Tyler Fury has definitely been hit harder than any Tyson Fury punch I've seen. And he might even... Wait a minute! And Dalton continues. Dalton is just, oh my goodness. Tyler Fury, I think at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to sign off here. This is my name, the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters. If you're on Sportswire Radio, all I could say is go to Small Town Backyard Wrestling, go to their social media pages, hit that sub button, go watch Sunday Night Stands. Dalton has come on here. He has come here with a bang, and he has said, you know what? Tyler Fury, get to the back of the line. Nolan Money McDermott, you're going to be facing Dalton because Tyler Fury, I'm not sure what's left of him. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a spoiler alert. This is a fact. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if Tyler Fury's okay. We're going to have to sign off here. I'll see everybody in a little while. And certainly, let's hope Tyler Fury can recover after what happened just now as Dalton from Small Town Backyard Wrestling senselessly attacked Tyler Fury. If now you watched what happened to start today at Small Town Backyard Wrestling Sunday Night Stands, we know what happened between Dalton and Tyler Fury. We know what happened. The match was thrown out. And all of a sudden, Tyler, listen, go get some help. We're going to see you soon. And ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Fury is down. He's fallen and he can't get up. Thank you, everybody. We're going to now call the medical authorities. We're going to make sure we get an EMT for him. We're going to make sure we get the authorities to come in and make sure that Tyler Fury does recover. And ladies and gentlemen, don't try this at home. We'll see everybody soon. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice figuratively and literally where all wrestling matters. And Tyler Fury, I certainly hope you can recover in time for the next Sunday Night Stands, let alone the Palo Community Center, Palo, Iowa, All Out Warfare. Forget about Jordan Nets and Jason Myers. Dalton, he ain't finished with you by a long shot. I'll see everybody in